Hello, beautiful people. I wanted to share something with you guys that I saw yesterday and also add that Samantha Moreno Rodriguez, the mother accused of dumping her baby's body off at the Mountain Springs Trailhead here in Nevada, has waived her right to extradition. And there's a whole article in the Review Journal that talks about that. Las Vegas Review Journal. If I can remember to go back, we will. But the sheriff here, Lombardo, he talked about the case and his frustrations and things. And I have not watched it yet, but we are going to do this the way we should do everything together.
A suspect, and you know that
Started it, but then I stopped. Stop doing that.
in that case in particular, it was frustrating that we were having difficulty developing a suspect, and you know the issues that we had with the false identification of the other mother of children. You know, it was a belief that the father may have absconded with the kids, but that proved to be false. And so then we're back to square one. So they thought a lot of effort had been expended and they had success as a result of that effort. But then when you go back to square one, it's very frustrating, correct? So, but then eventually with the partnerships we did with all the other agencies and developed because of the public notifications, you know, obviously an individual came forward and said, I believe this is Liam. And that proved to be true, and fortunately we were able to get the suspect into custody. Now we go through the extradition issues associated getting her from Colorado to here. I believe she has a hearing today or tomorrow, and then we deal with that in the court system.
Samantha Rodriguez, do you have any insight as to if the homicide department has formed any sort of motive or if she had any sort of mental illness going on?
No, just my understanding and cursory talks with the investigators, she was in a difficult mental state. So.
Have they actually interviewed her in person yet?
Yes, they have. We had well over 500 tips called into Crime Stoppers. Unfortunately, 99.9% of those didn't prove, positive, but the one did. It just shows the benefit of relationships. The relationships we had with all the associated departments proved to be positive because we were able to bring this case to closure sooner than later. And I think that's important for people to realize that there is a working relationships with all the other police jurisdictions throughout the states, and the system that's in place works.
So, yeah, that case went through a lot. And in the wrongfully accused section, and even in the Liam Husted playlist, you can see the story of the father who was initially swatted because of the misidentification. It got pretty rough for him while Miss Samantha was traveling from Nevada to Denver. The wrong guy was being snatched up. Ugly, ugly mistake. But we got what we need now. So the other thing I wanted to point out, we'll go back over. That is Samantha Moreno Rodriguez on the left and little Liam Husted on the right. Basically, what I want to show is that she is waiving her extradition. That basically means, let me read it to you. Let me read it. The extradition process enables governments to bring fugitives abroad to justice. Okay, so you commit a crime in one place and you run off to another, they extradite you back to where the original crime was committed so that you can be processed there. Now, waiving extradition. A defendant may want to establish a history of cooperating with authorities, so may decide to waive extradition to avoid law enforcement going through the extra expense and frustration of challenging extradition. So instead of her having Las Vegas go through all of that to get her out of Colorado, she has said, listen, it's no problem. Send me back. That is a win for us because Clark County already believes they have sufficient evidence to charge her with open murder of this baby boy. 7-year-old left naked just off of a jogging path. That smile needs to be wiped off her face for good. And I hope, no, I think it is, but I want to say I hope that's not her mugshot. But yeah, it says Las Vegas Metropolitan Police Department. I believe that it is. What the hell are you happy about? Or content about? That's not the look I would expect to see. We don't want to hear about OJ. Sorry, I just hit my mouse is sensitive. So this is just a quick update on Samantha. That means Nevada's going to handle their business. And let me tell you, the frustration that the sheriff just expressed, they are ready for her. They're going to be all over this case. She's going to get what's coming to her if they have the proof they say they have, which I believe they do. I mean, where were you going? My son and I drove out there, and I even had him MapQuest. Yeah, we went old school from where we were to Denver, Colorado. She was already on her way out of town when she dropped that baby boy off. I don't know why she picked that area because as I drove there, probably a good 20 minutes straight up Blue Diamond Road, which is also known as State Route 160. You pass by, I think it's called the Spring Mountain National Park area or something. It's deserty, but it's still got some things going on. Viewpoints where cars can pull over and look out at the mountains and the rocks. And we passed directly by Red Rock in the route we took. Speaking of the fires, we saw them dropping the flame retardant, I think they call it, the red stuff. Anyway, when we got to the Mountain Springs area, I realized this is really the first place that you could drop anyone or anything off because everywhere else it has those barriers on both sides of the freeway. So you can't even stop and pull over. And then when it does open up, you get traffic because, like I said, it's like a scenic area. But just when you get out to Mountain Springs, it gets a little desolate, except for the little Mountain Springs little area that you guys can see in that video. It's still not heavily populated. I think I saw 2 big ranch houses, way off in the back. So in my mind, she thought, yes, perfect. No one will ever come over here. I don't know. Because it's still not, I mean, it is a jogging path or a jogging trail, a trail period. So I don't know. I don't know if she wasn't from here, so she didn't really understand what that area was for. And she just saw the first wooded area and she wanted to get his body out of the car. But anyway, when you leave there, if you just keep heading on up Highway 160, you can start to connect and go on into what, Arizona, Utah, on into Denver, all of that. So I don't believe that she just left the hotel, which you can go down Las Vegas Boulevard and go right up Blue Diamond. That's what it's called at that point of town. And just keep on going. Eventually you get to Mountain Springs. Eventually you get to go on into those other states. I don't think she left the hotel planning on, let me go drop him off and I'm going to head back to Vegas. She was on her way to Denver. And she would have gotten there about 700 or so miles later after dropping this baby off. I think she was well into Arizona probably by the time his body was found. But since we had no idea who he was, we just had a naked baby boy and an artist rendering or a computer sketch. She was home free for a few days. And then we accidentally ran up on Jose Montez thinking that was the kidnapper or the killer because of a call from a mom who thought that the sketch looked like her son. So then we figure out Jose is with his 2 kids, so my bad. And then we get back to work. New sketch. And then we get a call from a friend in San Jose, California that knew about Samantha's trip to Vegas. Her little ears went up and she called down and said, I think I know who this missing boy might be. Now, weirdly enough, just because your friend went to Vegas, why would you automatically assume that's her son by the side of the road? Or maybe it was just a sketch. Maybe the sketch really just looked like him and she said, wait a minute, that looks like Liam. And I know Samantha went to Vegas. Let me call him. I love it. I love it. Maybe that's what happened. In either case, Las Vegas Metro Police Department immediately flew out to San Jose. This time, they confirmed using DNA, not just hearsay. His DNA matched DNA on a pillow of Liam's, and that is how we were able to take him out of the unidentified category. That is how we knew Liam Husted was the baby we found by the side of the jogging path. That is when we started this intense search for Samantha, and it did not take long before she was arrested in Denver. Now, she's been in Denver ever since. I think it's been about a week now. And that brings me to the point and the topic of the video. We didn't know if she would waive the extradition or if it would have to be a battle. They did say it could take, a week or up to 30 days if she fought it. So since she's not fighting it, she'll be on the first thing smoking. Back to Vegas. And it's about to get real. I also read here in the review journal that the arrest warrant doesn't say how Liam died. Most likely they're waiting on that dreaded autopsy that we always have to hang out and wait for. Really wish we could speed that process up somehow. But we want to know. Law enforcement hasn't told us much detail about how the body was found except naked and deceased. But when I was out there walking around, I said to myself, I said it actually out loud on camera, that I don't think he was dead before they got there. And even Metro says that they firmly believe the murder happened not just in Clark County, but in Mountain Springs. Okay, Mountain Springs is just what you see in the video. It's just a little blip. It's pretty much the area I was in. So if he was killed in Mountain Springs, he was killed in those woods. There's no little store along the way that you could have, even if it was, who would do it in the store? But there's no motel, hotel, or Holiday Inn. There's nowhere to stop in between there. And I know damn well she didn't walk out of that casino with a dead baby. If she did that, man, she's a magician because our security is tight. And we'll know because we have cameras everywhere. But as I walked around that area, literally my son has been making money for 2 days because he has given mommy calf massages. My calf hurt so bad. And I didn't jog anywhere. I just walked at a pretty decent pace, if you ask me. No hustle and bustle, just a walk. So I imagined if I was walking, carrying my 7-year-old and the dead weight of his body. Ooh, when I tell y'all, winded and tired. She's 35. Okay, I'm older than she is, but even at 35, because I had my son at 30, so he would have been, 5 years old, and he was skinny. And it still was a chore to like carry him from the car to his bedroom if he fell asleep in the car or something like that. So I was imagining trying to walk this path because there's an incline to pretty much each path. And I walked up 2 of them. And it's a subtle incline, not the kind where you're like, oh my God, I'm going up this hill. You can see the hill, but you don't really feel it as you're doing it. But honey, there's a hill. And then I went all off into the wooded area up to the side. I was trying to find a remnant of what happened, where it happened, which tree. I was trying so hard. There's a lot of shrubbery out there. It's hard to know. But I do know you would have looked real suspicious getting out of your car with a baby in your arm any kind of way. Even if he was sleeping. Where the hell are y'all going into the woods? It just wouldn't look right. And unless she drove her car up that hill, there's a lot of traffic on Highway 160. So they would have saw her getting out the car. Somebody at some point, somewhere, could have passed by easily. But it was early in the morning. So let's say no one saw her. It still would have been really hard. A lot of work. And if she did that, whew, she deserves another charge because she went out her way with that one. She carried a dead child all the way up into those woods to dump him. But I don't think so. I'm telling you, with everything I believe, I feel like little Liam walked himself to his grave. And I hate to say that. And I want to know what she did to him when they got there, or if she did it before. But it's not in the arrest warrant information thus far. Just like Teresa Balboa, it's hard to get the paperwork when they're in the transition. But when they get her to Vegas, oh, if I don't know how to navigate anybody else's system, I know how to look around our criminal system. Same way I did for Terrell Rhodes, and I hope they put them together. I know that won't happen. But stare at each other, you damn baby killers. Anyway, beautiful people, this is your Liam Husted case update. And until next time, please, please, please kiss your children and tell them you love them. And watch who you have watching them.